What's good, Ohio Cannabis Report family? It's your boy Gerald Moore Jr. back with another live episode of the Ohio Cannabis Report, and we got a special show for you guys today. I got my guy Dan the Cannaman, uh, slated to come on. Here he goes, and we're going to talk about SB56 and what's going on with Say No to SB56. Just like I always do, disclaimer. We are independent media, independent journalism, so this is not connected to any of the cannabis brands or entities. We are not lawyers. We are simply concerned citizens. This is for educational, entertainment purposes only. So I am going to bring Danny on to the stage. My guy, what's going
Good
on, brother?
good afternoon, Gerald. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. Better now that I got you on the show.
There we go. There we go. How's the weather treating you there? Are you getting a lot of snow?
Well, I'll admit the reason I'm a little late was because I was shoveling.
Oh,
I think we got about 11 inches.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm on the north side, so we're over by Easton. And then I live in an elderly senior citizen neighborhood, so I helped out a few of my neighbors.
there you go. That's the man right there, man of the community. I like that, Gerald. Thank you
Yeah,
for what you do,
it's
dude.
it's not just the weed, man. It's all around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that. I love seeing that. I love seeing, people do good things for others. So that's awesome, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I think that's what it takes. You know what I mean? That's why, some of us have been connected, I think, in this cannabis lane, which obviously we're going to talk about today. And I've gave a little bit of an introduction, but just let the people know who you are and then a little bit more about what you are working on.
Yes, sir. So I'm Dan. I'm Dan the Cannaman. As you guys know me from Instagram, Daniel is my real name. And basically, I'm a cannabis advocate. I'm a medical patient. I've been a medical patient since about 2018, 2019 here. I've been using cannabis though for since 2015, 2016. I started off, at Ohio University. When I went to Ohio University,
Go
I found
Bobcats.
Go Bobcats. I ended up finding cannabis as something that really helped my mental health. And once I opened up to like those around me and my family at that time, I got stigmatized out of it and stigmatized into like you need help, and
Hmm.
that set me down a path of going to a psychiatrist's office who then prescribed me antidepressants and anti-anxiety such as medications such as Ativan, Xanax, gabapentin, things like that. Not all at once, but different trial and failure things, which then opened me up to like a pharmaceutical addiction. And then I started drinking on top of that. I developed something that was out of my hands at that point, and I almost lost my career at Ohio University due to that. I got back into cannabis at that point because I needed to get off alcohol and those other substances, and I had tried quitting cold turkey, and I found out that I couldn't.
Hmm.
So cannabis was something that helped ease that pain, helped my legs calm down at night, helped my body stop shaking, and to the point where I could fall asleep and stuff like that. And it was at that point that I realized that basically I had been lied to, and I got angry at first, but then I realized it was more so like a stigma and misinformation thing. So that's kind of
Hmm.
what kicked off my path into advocacy here, and that's where I am today.
Yeah.
Since I found cannabis as an exit medication or an exit, drug, I have been able to, graduate college, hold down, multiple corporate jobs, and also, you know, be there present with my family. So currently, I am working on the referendum for SB56 with Ohioans for cannabis choice. And right now, what we're trying to do is just stop the overturn of the will of the 2.2 million people who voted issue 2 into law in
Hmm.
November of 23.
Gotcha. And we appreciate you for sharing your story, man. I think, your story definitely, when we testified at the state house, was a huge one that, I think pulled the heartstrings, you know what I mean? And let people know just some of the, real stories that people are dealing with, especially young folks, navigating, life, right? And just the different
Hmm.
trials and tribulations that, many people deal with, but not a lot of people are willing to face those things publicly and share those things. So I really commend you on that, man.
Thank you.
And how you've been able to transition into using that passion and moving into cannabis. So let people know, obviously, I've been trying to just have people on the show that can explain a little bit more about like issue two, since, obviously our state government, our local governments, the cannabis industry, they're not really sharing a lot of information. So if you could give people, because this is YouTube, right? So this can go to anybody in the world, anybody that wants to know about the heart of it all, Ohio. We got a lot going on. But what is issue two like? What was our legalization of cannabis like? And then now what is SB56, and why is Ohioans for Cannabis Choice wanting to referend what SB56, and just let people know a little bit more about all that.
Yeah, yes, sir. So when issue two was approved into law, I think what Ohioans approved into law was, certain extract and cannabis THC limits at dispensaries and other cannabinoid limits as well. They also, approved to stop the criminalization of cannabis. They approved sharing of cannabis amongst people. They approved 6 plants per one adult, 12 plants for 2 adult households, and they also approved, to be able to have cannabis on your person at least 2.5 ounces while you travel and not be prosecuted for that. What's currently going on with Senate Bill 56 is Senate Bill 56 is trying to recriminalize carrying cannabis in your car in unmarked containers that are not put in the trunk. They're trying to recriminalize consuming hemp-derived products like Delta 8 THC seltzers above a certain THC percentage in public. They're also trying to strip consumer protections from housing, employment, and medical care, which to me, that last one is ironic because cannabis is safer than a lot of pharmaceutical medications out there. And I will even go as far as to say it's safer than caffeine. We've seen people die from Panera charged lemonades. We've never seen somebody die from natural cannabis.
Right.
Overconsumption. So,
and we have a medical program, right? So it's like,
yep. Exactly. And the medical program, I think too, what they, I think there was a clause in the medical program that said basically you can't be discriminated against for using cannabis as a patient. And I don't know, where, Senate bill puts the medical patients at in that, in the new bill. But I do know that, with recreational users, which I think everybody gets some medicinal benefit from the plant. This is definitely discriminatory.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, right? It opens up the discrimination language for workers. So employers can randomly drug test. And then if you fail a drug test, you get fired. Then you don't get your unemployment benefits. It allows police officers to discriminate, right, against people they think are marijuana or cannabis consumers. So again, probable cause, if you get pulled over for having a tail light out, not putting the turn signal on, whatever, and then they smell weed, now they have probable cause to now, search your car, pull you out of the car. Like you said, if cannabis it has to be in the trunk, has to be an original container from a dispensary. Well, if you have home grow and you're traveling and you're not going to have, original packaging, they criminalize transportation of legal cannabis from the state up north or any legal state back to Ohio. That's now criminal. They also penalties for or they offer landlords the opportunity to discriminate against renters and leasers. So again, if you can't consume in your house, which we know a lot of people in Ohio are renters, right? And so you can't grow and you can't consume in your car, you can't publicly consume because they took public combustion out. Where are you exactly supposed to consume? You can't consume in a lounge, can't consume at a restaurant, even if the restaurant owner allows it, right? So there's a lot of restrictions for a lot of people unless you're a homeowner or somebody with space. And so I think that's why it's important for us to get this news and information out, because there are going to be a lot of Ohioans, one, that don't hear about the information. So they're going to continue just moving about, and the law goes into effect in 90 days, right? So we should be calling the governor, we should be calling our state representatives and letting them know it's not what we voted for, right? Over 2.2 million people, more people voted for cannabis legalization than voted for the recent governor that we have. So, Ohioans, I think, should be very upset and should allow their voices to be heard. So when it comes to SB or say no to SB56, I know you guys are looking for more help, support, volunteers. Let people know about that and what's that process like as well with training to get those signatures that you want.
Yeah, no, great question, Gerald. And I just want to, like end what you were saying there last with, if this doesn't make people upset too, like 6,000 businesses are at risk, including hemp CBD shops, hemp manufacturers, and wellness retailers, as well as beverage makers, due to Senate Bill 56. But basically,
And that's
right now,
employees too, right? So 6,000
yep,
businesses, but you got to think about those business owners, people that have made the investment, in product and, marketing, advertising, but also employees. If you got a retailer, right? That's a lot of jobs that are going to be lost and impacted by this as well.
yes, sir. And regarding what we currently are looking for, with the referendum effort, we are currently looking for volunteers who are willing to collect signatures in their area throughout Ohio. I think we need somewhere around 200 to 400,000 signatures. I've heard, those numbers over the past couple of weeks here from different advocates as well as different people on the commission there. So I think we need at least signatures from 44 out of the 88 counties in Ohio.
Yeah.
And we need people from almost every single county to go ahead and volunteer. What you guys can do to volunteer is you could visit my bio. I will also share a link with you, Gerald, that at the end of this, phone call here, that has like a Google form link that people can go. And if they're in Ohio, they just go to that link and they fill out the information within that Google form. That Google form gets sent back to us, which I sent to the trainer, and then the trainer, he's going to put together the training for the first week of February there.
Send me the link. Send me the
Yep.
Google link, and then I'll put it in the ticker so people can see it, just like the link below.
You're the man. Thank you, Gerald.
So we could do it live.
I will do that here, and then can I send that link to you? Like, oh yeah, probably over this conversation here.
Yeah.
Let's see. But there's that.
And we're grassroots guys, so I know we're doing all this stuff live and in real time.
Yes,
this
sir.
is how politics works. There's a lot of political things going on right now, but this is, we got to be focused on our state level, our local, county, city levels, because, this issue, right? They just released the first round of funds for the taxes that went to cities. So again, with SB56, they took out the social equity funds, which again was another 36% of the tax revenue that was supposed to go to local communities for different things, right? Addiction services, healthcare services, roads, parks, education, healthcare. Like that's 36% of the tax revenue that now goes back to the general fund that, the state government can use for whatever they want to use for. So that was something big in SB56 as well. Taking out those social equity funds. And now that we're talking about social equity, we are having our first cannabis social equity event in Columbus, Ohio, April 4th. So go ahead and mark your calendars. If you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you can see us promoting the events there. We will have some of the panelists on the show in the coming weeks just to talk about some of the issues obviously facing the cannabis industry when it comes to social equity, when it comes to small business ownership. So there's a lot of different opportunities when it comes to cannabis, right? Like we just legalized this industry. So we haven't even expanded the industry yet. We haven't even started to expand the industry. And part of the issue is with 56 is that it's allowing a handful of business owners and multi-state operators to control the entire state. And that's not what we voted for at the end of the day, right? We voted for home grow. We voted for tier 3. We voted for craft grow licenses. We don't even have delivery yet. We only have, I think, 170 something dispensaries. They capped it at 400 with SB56. So there's just a lot of holes that haven't even been addressed yet that SB56 is not even going to allow our state and community members and entrepreneurs, small business owners, citizens to really partake in the wealth generation of the the cannabis industry. So this is why people should really want to be involved, because again, if you are somebody that's on the legacy market or the gray black market, you still got to stay on that market where you should be allowed to come above ground and be able to participate in this legal industry that people are making. I mean, we've sold over $3.3 billion in legal medicinal and adult use cannabis in the last 6 years. The last year, we've sold over $1.1 billion in adult use cannabis. Well, where's that money going, right? It's an all cash industry. Again, the taxes just got released, but that's only a portion of the taxes. So, all right, Danny, you're back.
Thank you, Gerald. I sent that link to you in the chat there too, as well, by the way. Sorry,
Okay.
I had to hop off there to find that, but
No,
thank you, sir. Yeah. So, as Gerald was saying, like right now, if the referendum is approved, what's going to happen is, we're going to lose THC limits in concentrates at dispensaries. We're going to have, hemp beverage caps. People aren't going to be able to get harm reduction at their local Stop and Shops anymore. They will have to go to a licensed dispensary, and we know not every Ohioan wants to do that because, some people are weird about being on public record or a record of any kind. So,
for sure.
I think it's definitely important too, as a state, that we, instead of trying to overregulate something, we look into, trying to regulate the bad stuff, like the synthetic stuff. We should, only have naturally derived hemp beverages being sold everywhere. So I think instead of trying to, move everything away from a specific portion of the market and, take away from small mom and pop businesses, that we should do some sensible regulation as opposed to unsensible regulation, which, makes everything harder for everybody to access, recriminalizes people, and then, doesn't even provide people with, the type of medicine that they need.
Right.
If Senate Bill 56 does go through, people are going to have to probably buy more at dispensaries. That product's going to be marked up, and they're going to struggle, especially, your elderly people who go into dispensaries looking
Right.
for relief and don't, participate on the black or gray markets. So yeah, and Senate Bill 56, again, it will create an unfair monopoly by taking glass, rolling papers, and everything sold in hemp shop and only make them available at licensed dispensaries. So
Right.
that also, yep, you go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, so basically, right, they are going to force you into the dispensaries, right? And when we say dispensaries, these are Department of Cannabis Control. This is state legislative regulated industry. So they're trying to force you into these places to purchase your cannabis. And I know there's a lot of people out there in Ohio. Well, I was smoking weed. I was getting my weed before it was legal. I'm gonna do the same thing. That's fine and dandy. Everybody is not going to have the same luck, right? Fines, right? People aren't going to be able to pay $500 fines, $1,000 fines. Those fines lead to jail time and prison time. Those fines lead to, and that prison time leads to lost jobs, lost opportunities, lost time with your family, right? Court costs and issues. So this opens up a can of worms that we were trying to, root out with cannabis legalization in the first place, right? People consuming cannabis for medicinal purposes, which, like Danny brought up earlier, a lot of people are consuming cannabis for medicinal purposes and don't even know it, right? It's just recreational for them. So go ahead.
Yes, sir. And no, and thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that as well. Especially like since, issue 2 was designed to take, cannabis out of the scope of law enforcement in Ohio so they could focus on more, pressing issues. I feel like what Senate Bill 56 does is just, it's a waste of taxpayer money because it takes the focus, away from those other crimes and puts it back on cannabis and how, certain subsets of people are using cannabis in certain ways, which I don't think is fair in a democracy here. So additionally, I think that, instead of trying to criminalize something that, scientifically we still can't find a a lethal dose from. I think that, we should be trying to educate our public on it. I think we should be having PSAs about responsible use, about responsible storage, about, all of these things that society is so worried about, concerning kids. I think that it can be easily resolved with education, PSAs,
Right.
instead of a complete ban. So, I think that should also make Ohioans upset as well who voted for yes on issue 2, because the government is basically telling us that we did not know what we were voting for when
Hmm.
we, went to the ballot. We sat there, we read the language,
Right.
and we made sure that, you know when we voted yes on issue 2, that we took, kids into account and stuff like that. So
Right. And also, right, issue 2, when you go to the language, it says regulate marijuana like alcohol, right? And so obviously there's been more and more research and studies and numbers that have come out that have said there's been a huge decrease in alcohol consumption over the last 4 years, right? There's been over like
yes, sir.
800 and something $billion losses for these global alcohol industry giants over the last 4 years. But then when you look at Ohio, if you say regulate marijuana like alcohol, well, guess what? You can go to the bar and drink, right? We have doors where you can walk around with alcohol in our major cities and drink. Um, I just saw an article that said it is now legal for restaurants and bars to serve underage people as long as they're with their guardian and their parent, somebody 21 years or older, right? We can go to the grocery store and purchase, some beer, alcohol. We can go to the drive-through, purchase some, wine. So again, how is this regulating cannabis or marijuana like alcohol by stripping away these things, right? We have homebrew, right? There's all these different things that we are not doing with cannabis, but you're allowed to do it with, alcohol. So just so people are aware, you have to understand that the law is all about words, right? It's all about lingo, language, legalese, they call it. And so that's where people get tripped up. And that's why it's important. Like, yes, you may have a home, you may have a garage, you may have a back patio, you may have all the different tools to consume cannabis, but not everybody in Ohio has those same abilities, right? Not everybody has, a corporate job where they might not get drug tested because they're not doing heavy labor. But does that mean somebody is intoxicated, right, while they're on the job? Also, you have to talk to people that consume cannabis. If it's medicinal for somebody and we microdose, like I'm not intoxicated, right? I'm able to do my normal routine and activities. It's just like somebody takes a pill and they still move about their daily lives, right? So we have to stop with a lot of the ignorance around cannabis, and just, it's outdated information, right? It's propaganda, it's age-old propaganda that they've constantly used to discriminate against humans for their choice in, pharmaceuticals or medicine. So thank you for pointing out all the things that you pointed out. Is there anything else you're looking for volunteers? Is it just for signatures? Or are you guys looking for people to help with, getting to the state house? What's the next role, right? Because is it this, and we have to get it on the ballot for November?
Great question, Gerald. So right now we're currently waiting on the Attorney General's approval. From
Okay.
there, we will have 40 to 50 days from the first week of February to get the close to 400,000 signatures to get it on the ballot.
Okay.
So
And so
how
this
it's
is the
gonna,
second time too, right? Because
yep.
sorry to cut you off.
Oh, don't
They had their original language, and then the Attorney General came back and said something was wrong, and then they had to go back out. So let people know what happened with that, right?
Yes. So what happened the first time was basically the Attorney General went through it and rejected it because they said it was misleading to people from the outside looking in. They said that Senate Bill 56 was not trying to do the things we were saying it was trying to do, and they
Mhm.
also said that they also put a couple other like little nuances in there about how we need to put different language in certain areas to make it
Mhm.
more digestible for them. So that's currently what we're doing, and I'm sure there were some other reasons why it was rejected, but those were the main reasons that I took away, from it being rejected.
Right.
So this time we resubmitted it. with everything that the Attorney General rejected the first time. We fixed, basically all of that with the lawyers and stuff. And yeah, right now we're just waiting on that approval. So the timeline is going to go approval if we get it, to getting trained for signatures, to having people go out to collect signatures in their area, and then they'll probably have to turn those back in to the trainer by mid-March, or a couple weeks before that, and then we'll know if it gets on the ballot in November from there. Is how I'm understanding that timeline.
Okay. And then when you get the language has been sent to the Attorney General. So then if he approves that language, then is it paused, right? Would SB56 be paused? Because it goes into law in 90 days, correct? After
Correct. Yeah. Yep. So it would not be paused. What would happen is we would have to get the signatures after we get the approval to pause it.
Okay.
If we don't get the signatures after we get the approval within that 40 to 50 day time frame, it does go into law from there, from what I understand.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it's very important. It's detrimental that if you care about issue 2, that you're looking for volunteers, or you're looking to volunteer, or cannabis freedom, or even democracy in the state, or overturning hypocrisy. Like you said earlier, we were talking about regulate cannabis like alcohol, and a main concern about cannabis in our state is the children, right? But when you go to like a grocery store and stuff like that, I mean, you can have a kid walking right beside you, 3 or 4-year-old, and they could swipe cans literally out of the freezer there. And they have like mix and match areas now to where you can just grab one beverage. So it's more available to kids than ever. I mean,
and the alcoholic beverages look way more appealing.
Yep. Not your father's root beer, not your father's cream soda, spiked Mountain Dew, Dunkin' Donuts flavored alcoholic beverages. I've seen Dunkin' Donuts flavored coffees. I don't know why anybody would want to drink that, but and then Sunny D, vodka seltzers. We have that. And all of that, is modeled to look like soda, like something a kid would drink. So it's very concerning. Additionally, I used to, work at a bar, Brew Brothers, over at El Dorado, Scioto Downs. And I mean, I would see mothers come in with newborns, and they would sit the newborn on their lap, and they would have a beer flight on the table and be sipping from the beer flight with the newborn in smelling distance from the alcohol on the table. Yeah. That's so, like when we talk about like being concerned about the kids, we should be more concerned about kids in alcohol consumption as opposed to, cannabis, in my opinion. And we already have cannabis so regulated in our state, you can't even get it at a grocery store without, if it is available at a grocery store, it's basically locked behind things. It's not out in the open like alcohol is. So.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think, there was also the story that just came out that the Rooster said that Matt Huffman said he didn't like kids. So yeah, we gotta realize there's people, in high places that, they don't like children. I'm a father, you know what I mean? So I get it from a lot of different perspectives, but the fact that they're always trying to use the children as the language for why they're doing something, and it's like, do you guys, like, how old are y'all? Do y'all even have children? You guys are grandparents at this point.
Exactly. And things, when I think, in the era of, like the Huffmans and stuff like that, when they were growing up, like things were a lot more stigmatized back then, and you got to realize with time, society changes, and you got to, have an open mind when society changes throughout the times, and not just, double down on stigma, because what happens is you get a mess like this, what we currently have going on in Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why, a lot of us, right, people that, consume cannabis for various reasons, have to use our voices, right? Like this is the moment where you have to be courageous. You have to get, like we're sitting down, you could do the work sitting down on your couch. We have the internet, you have social media, but getting this information out so we know collectively what's going on and how we can attack this issue, because this is a bipartisan issue, right? It's not a partisan issue. You have people on all sides of the spectrum that consume cannabis. You have veterans that consume cannabis. You have, people that are trying to get off of alcohol, trying to get off of pills, maybe, dealing with PTSD. You have veterans. You have people that have very strenuous lifestyles that understand cannabis is more healthy, than some of these other substances, right? So me as a high performance athlete, former Division I All-American athlete, former NFL player, I understand that cannabis is way better for me performance wise, for my mental health, spiritual health, for, the whole thing, than alcohol consumption, than the pills. And so again, I understand it. So I use my platform, and everybody has a story, right? Your story, that's why Danny is important, because Danny's story is going to resonate with somebody that I may not be able to resonate with. So I think it's important that we all share our stories in these moments. There's a lot going on in the world, in America, and I know cannabis is one of those things that brings a lot of people together. Cannabis is also something that's very good for economics, right? It may not be good for big business right now, but we also need to distribute the wealth, right? There's been a huge gap in wealth. So you have the haves versus the have-nots. And cannabis is one of those things where all of us can grow it. We can barter it. So I think that's important for, more of us grassroots folks to really take hold of and go against big government, and this is our moment, especially here in Ohio. Is there anything else that you wanted to share or let the people know that we didn't touch on?
Yeah, no, I do want to share a couple more things here. I want to say, with cannabis, we have an opportunity right now to create a golden space, not just in Ohio, but throughout the United States. And what I mean by that is we have an opportunity right now to let the home growers grow, to let the dispensaries sell, and people exist in symbiosis. And also we have an opportunity to let, these small craft growers enter the market if we just let them, and like you said, end the stigma. If we keep trying to lock the market down just to a few big MSOs, what's going to happen is, I believe, is a bottleneck. Like, things are going to bubble up to the point where, people are going to spend, and then it's going to plateau once they, find out a better, more economical way to provide for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always have the people that want to go to the dispensaries, and you'll always have the people that are in it for simplicity and don't want to home grow. So I think it's important, that not just in Ohio, but throughout the United States, and as we continue to focus on legalization, that we, look for better ways to let everybody contribute to the market and not just have these big businesses only contributing. I also think it's important to, as well, to, do your research on a lot of these laws and different studies that come out about cannabis. Do your research behind who's paying for them, who's paying for the studies, like what company's leading the studies, and who's backing the study. And then the only other thing I'd want to say is, donate to noonsb56.com if you can. We are chugging along here with everything, but we do need more funds here to pay off social media, PR, taxes to get it on the ballot and things like that. So we need all the help that we can get, and end the stigma and the unfair discrimination, and help, let's all be a part of this. Let's all come together and be a part of this as a community. It's not just one single person that's going to do it, and that's what I think everybody needs to realize here. Somebody has told me in my life that's really resonated with me is, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save us unless we save ourselves from recriminalization, unless we save ourselves from these people at the state house trying to enact laws that we didn't vote for. So other than that, Gerald, I want to say thank you so much for having me today, sir. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody who's tuned into this, honestly. Cannabis is something that I'm very passionate about. It's something that has saved my life, and I know it's saved other people's lives as well. And it continues to be effective medicine for me. And I hope we can preserve access to this for everyone, not just those who can pay to play.
All right, and we got some comments here. So you all should have listened to me and we would have been ahead of the game. Well, you know, I don't know who you think we are, but we only have so much power and influence in this game. So Ohio is a big business state. There's a lot of big money at stake here. So, you know, when the original language, I think, came out, obviously those people have shifted the game, right? So the folks that were really pushing issue two, that law firm, a lot of those big business guys, they got what they got, and now they're trying to retract the whole issue, right? They're trying to say, well, you know, we control this issue, or we've controlled this language. And again, they are the ones, like you have Ohio Cannabis Coalition, which are the ones that are the lobbying arm for these cannabis companies. And they're the ones doing the legislation, right? Again, when we did do the constitutional, or not the constitution, the voter amendment, we just, that was the easiest way for us to get it on the ballot. You know what I mean? And get the language, right? People have been fighting for this for 10, 15, 20 years, obviously longer than that, but it's really, the progression has happened. And so they didn't have to change the law. Like, we just have dickhead politicians. You know what I mean? Like, the law was fine. Like, everything's working fine. Oh, well, there's no mechanism to send the money. Well, then all of a sudden there's a mechanism to send the money. You know what I mean? They are purposefully doing things and saying that that we didn't know what we voted for. No, 2.2 million people in Ohio knew what they voted for, you know, and you should listen to the will of the voters, you know, but the governor didn't want it. And, you know, but there's agendas, right? Ohio's an alcohol state. Ohio's a pill popping state. You know what I mean? Ohio's a sick state. So they want you to be sick. They want you to be in the system. They want you to be criminalized. If you're free, you know what I mean? They can't control you. And
or
so
make money off of you.
Or make money off of you, right? So again, it's a lot bigger than people like me, people like Danny. You know what I mean? I'm 36. I don't know who you think I am. You know, if you had the information, you should do it. You know what I mean? Like, when people come on these platforms, you do the work too. You know, we've been showing up to the State House for years now. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that come online and I haven't seen them. I don't hear them, but they have a lot to say. I go to bat for the people. There were over 40 people that showed up and testified multiple times before this bill became a law. Multiple times. We have multiple group chats with tons of different groups and people. So there's a lot of people that we don't see you, we don't hear you, but you can talk in the comments. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has to show up. Everybody.
It would be nice if everybody in the comments did show up, because can you imagine like how much, you know, a momentum we would have gotten if everybody, like, you know, who has something to say on this, you know, on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, would have showed up and testified at the State House. We would have probably had a lot more traction going too, as opposed to, you know, the 40 to 60 of us that kept.
Well, there's people like, well, you should do this. Well, there's some of us that haven't been like 30 years. I'm 36. You know what I mean? Like, prohibition should have never happened. It's been over 60 years. Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? But there are people that have benefited. There are people that have had police jobs for generations that have benefited off of locking up people for cannabis. The majority of people, Ohio's a private prison state. You know what I mean? So let's talk about that. A lot of people could be doing a lot more, you know, but then you come on people like me and Danny. Me and Danny are millennial. How old are you, Danny?
30.
30, right? You know what I mean? I'm 36. Like, we should never even been in this predicament. But again, we show up to the State House. How many people showing up? Like, talk to your politicians, call your state legislator, call your governors. You know what I mean? We're doing what we can do, what we know how to do. We don't know everything. You know what I mean? And we understand the process.
A lot of us just learn too, man, by you know, experiencing things and word of mouth, you know, like by showing up and being in person. Yeah.
I love that group chat was told to shut up and I love thanks to Rodney. Yeah, shout out to Rodney. But I mean, I know feelings get involved, but at the end of the day, you gotta have thick skin. I know everybody has different circumstances. You know what I mean? But the one beautiful thing about cannabis is that it brings people together. The sad thing is everybody has egos. Everybody has their own agenda. You know what I mean? And I think people get lost in that. But I don't. I've left tons of the group chats too because I just can't keep up, right? But you got to do what you got to do. You can't take things offensively. You have to understand everybody has their own thing. You know what I mean? But what are you doing in the meantime? How are you adding value? Right? Coming into places, well, you guys should have did this, you guys should have did that. No, you should have did it, right? If you change the cannabis laws, well, clearly you ain't changed them good enough, right? So again, we need a constitutional amendment, but who has the money, right? Like who is organizing, right? Who is putting that money together? We have say no to SB56. These are small business owners. So obviously they're putting some money up, right? People are putting their person up, right? So again, there's tons of opportunities, different ways that you can be involved in the fight collectively, right? You can be educating the community. That's why we built Ohio Cannabis Report. If you want to come on the show, if you want to speak your piece, this is an open platform, right? I let any and everybody come on here. I do not gatekeep, right? I don't agree with everybody. I don't jive with everybody's politics. But at the end of the day, that's not my position. I can give you a platform and let you speak your piece, and the world can say what they want about you. But at the end of the day, we're trying to bring the cannabis community together. We're trying to bring all demographics together, and we're trying to build a better Ohio for everybody. So, it's as simple as that. We don't know all the rules. We don't know all the game. We don't have millions of dollars to just throw around. We don't have, connections within the state house. You know what I mean? We are building a grassroots movement to hopefully overturn, what these politicians are doing in the state house. So, what's good, Kevin? Thanks for tuning in. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share if you find value in any of the content that we promote. I think we're almost at about 200 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So appreciate all the subs. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Ohio Cannabis Report, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. We try to hit all the places. So again, we are grassroots. This is independent. We are not funded by anybody. We don't have deep pockets. We don't have millionaire buddies and friends that are pouring into our organizations. This is grassroots. These are citizens that are concerned about what's going on at the highest level. So if you don't have any good things to add to the conversation, just keep your opinions to yourself. And help those that are trying to do better. You know what I mean? Create your own groups. We need more people, right? We need more support. We need more people having the conversation. We need to end the stigma, right? Clearly we've had great dialogue, and I'm sure Danny probably, had a little bit of something before he hopped on. You know what I mean? Go ahead, talk to the people.
Oh yeah.
Because we in Ohio, man. People in Ohio be acting bugged out sometimes, man. Tell them we gotta come together.
Yes, sir, man. We got to come together, leave ego out of it, honestly, and think about why we're in this space. We're in this space to free the plant. We're not in this space to fight with one another. We're not in this space to, call certain people out. We're in this space to be able to, share opinions, respect one another's opinions, and if we don't agree with it, we share our own and go from there. But at the end of the day, we should all be able to shake hands and come together as a grassroots effort and to make sure that cannabis legalization stays in Ohio how the people voted on it, and to make sure we keep improving these laws for people and not holding them back, whether that be from a business opportunity, whether that be from employment, whether that be from housing, whether that be from home growing. Like, we should make sure that everybody has a foot in this space and not be gatekeeping. And that's why I appreciate you, Gerald, because you literally include everybody, and I'm so grateful to be included here today. I think that if we, stop with the ego, stop with the gatekeeping, and, just respectfully provide our opinions, but, are also focused, on making our own opinions heard on our own platforms, I think that, we can't lose as a space. Right. But a lot of it is like respect. A lot of it is coming together, like you said, and a lot of it is, making sure that, We're not just going to let, the state house tell us how like it is, and we just, comply with it. So.
Right. And I mean, I think a huge part of it is, right, we have older folks that are like, well, we've been doing this. Okay, so you should be educating, right? We have these platforms. Social media and the internet
Exactly.
can be utilized for educational purposes, right? You don't have to be on TikTok to be doing stupid stuff. You can be sharing your knowledge, right? You can write a book, right? I'm a published author. Share your story about how cannabis has impacted your life, whether negatively or positively, right? Like, we have to get more information out there from all different walks of life, right? Because people look at me and I smell like weed and they're gonna think, oh, he's just a thug, he's just a drug dealer. You never know, right? People have their own biases, but most people don't understand. I'm a former Division I All-American athlete. I played in the NFL. I have friends that play in the NFL, professional sports. I got a college degree in healthcare administration, right? Like, I've been very successful and I've consumed cannabis the entire time. I started consuming cannabis when I was 16 years old, you know? And so the stigmas and all the things that come alongside it, that, oh, you're going to be lazy, you're not going to be able to accomplish anything, you're going to be a drug addict, it's a gateway drug to harsher drugs. Danny, no, I went to OU too. We was the #1 party school back in my time. You know what I mean? So I could put them back too. But I also understood that cannabis was way more beneficial long term than alcohol was. And so I think people, you have to get comfortable and confident with your own story. People are going to judge you. People are going to critique you. But at the end of the day, you know your story, and people are drawn to us. And so if you are out here and you're sharing your cannabis story, you'll be amazed at how many people that you inspire, you motivate to then come and share their story and say, or then become more courageous and say, oh, I'm gonna go to my state house. I'm gonna go to my city hall. I'm gonna write an email to my state representative. Most people probably don't even know who their state representatives are, or their senators, or their council members. They work for you. If you pay taxes, the state representatives work for you. Trump, he ain't gonna be able to do that much for you. But guess what? Your governor can, your state representatives can, your state senators can, your city council members can. And those are the people we need to be ensuring are educated and knowledgeable about what's going on. Because again, they're still, brainwashed about, the war on drugs, right? And all the issues that have been caused by, the weed. Where are we with the petition? So the petition, they sent it back to the attorney general, and they are just waiting for the attorneys general to get back to them with the current language. Once that
We sent it
current
on Tuesday, Gerald,
Tuesday,
this past
okay.
Tuesday. So, yep. And I think they have business days, not
Right.
weekends.
Yep. So yeah, they on the weekends the government is not in session. So typically Monday through Friday is when they interact. So what is it? Sunday.
Hmm.
Obviously tomorrow is probably going to be snow day. I don't know what government does on snow days, but it's probably take them about a week to get that language back, and then after that, you have to sign the petitions, right? Or get the
Correct.
petition signed.
Get the petition signed in the 44 out of 88 different counties in Ohio, and get those 200,000 to 400,000 signatures. And I think the clock is different from us than it is for the legislatures. So the clock ticks slower for those legislators at the state house than it does for us on the referendum end. So while they have business days, our clock right now is ticking down on weekends and business days and holidays. So
Right.
we're going to have less time than they are taking right now to approve this. So that's why
Mhm.
it's so important that, we get more volunteers. And
Right.
additionally, we can't ever tell what's going on in the state house. Like I've heard from the training coordinator too, like after the first time DeWine signed Senate Bill 56, they all took a holiday from the state house, even though wasn't a holiday. So they didn't have to. I don't know if it was because they didn't have to deal with the backlash or whatnot, but
Yeah, they do what they want to do.
yeah, they basically did what they wanted to do there, and I don't think that's legal for them to do. So
Well, I mean, nothing that they've done is illegal. And what's legal when you're in power, right?
it's
Like,
very true.
that's what people got to understand about law, right? My mom's a lawyer, so that's why lawyers are important. You know what I mean? Because what is the law? The law is constantly changing, right? Who's in power, right, controls the law, right? People, don't turn on their turn signals and make turns every day. People, run red lights every day, right? It's about
Yes,
getting
sir.
caught. Most people, it's about getting caught. And then if you do get caught, do you have the money? Do you have the lawyers? Do you have the cachet to be able to get out of whatever, crime you have committed? Obviously, the harsher the crime, different levels. But again, I think it's important that we just have conversations. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on state level. I believe cannabis sits at the intersection of a lot of issues that people are dealing with economically, healthcare, social justice issues, social issues, right? A lot of our community issues, poverty. Obviously, there's a shrinking middle class. We are ripe for new opportunities in the United States. And an industry like cannabis opens up so many different avenues, right? It's not even just growing cannabis, it's media, right? The reason I started Ohio Cannabis Report, because I understood that media was an important part of the cannabis industry and sharing stories, sharing information and resources, which again, we don't have a lot of information, right? Coming out from the state level, coming out from the federal level. Cannabis is still federally illegal, obviously. So people say, well, yeah, it was already illegal to transport weed between, states because it's federally illegal. Yeah, well, guess what? State level, they weren't penalizing people, right? They weren't, you go up to Michigan, Michigan is a legal state, right? If we're going to be in competition, Michigan is crushing us right now. You know what I mean? And a lot of that money is coming from Ohio because a lot of people in Ohio still live closer to dispensaries in Michigan, or they have cheaper product. They have better quality product. I've been up a couple of times. You have people going.
Dispensaries are more robust.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you get across state lines, right? So you have more options. And so again, it's at a state level, we have to understand what's going on, right? Um, and again, the state has made what $3.3 billion in cannabis sales. I don't have you seen any of that money?
No, I mean, I don't think I've seen it. I don't think, a lot of our communities haven't seen it. I mean, I still see potholes in the road. I still see, dilapidated government buildings and stuff like that the money should be reinvested back into. I still see,
They said Cleveland didn't even have enough salt.
yeah, yeah. And that is exactly where that money should be coming from the taxes from cannabis. It should be going back into that. So, where is it coming from? And then, on top of that, I think that, you know, with like the way the tax structure is set up in Ohio on cannabis, like a lot of people are paying like $15 more for a product at a dispensary than they would as opposed to just getting it somewhere else. So like I think that needs to be looked into as well. If we're going to charge so much tax money for it, then we need to be showing people where it's going. Otherwise, people are not going to believe in it, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to want to buy it, purchase it,
Well,
or
and
invest
what
money in
people
it.
need to understand too is that Michigan, they're increasing their taxes, so you're going to pay a little bit more now going to Michigan. But also with Ohio, the state just released the first community funds to dispensaries to communities in our state. So there has been a release of funds, right? But again, all those funds, we would have more if they kept the social equity part of the bill, right? That was another 36% of tax dollars that was supposed to go to communities for, obviously helping communities that have been disproportionately harmed by the war on drugs, right? Expungements, all types of community resources, harm reduction services to help people get out of prison, get out of that situation, and get back into, the workforce. So there's a lot of different things that are happening at the state level that we just need to keep an eye on and keep paying attention to.
And another thing that doesn't make sense to me here is, the fact that our state's trying to cap dispensaries when they're making one, so much money off of them, and two, we're in the middle of an opioid epidemic in the state of Ohio still. And cannabis is directly used as harm reduction. We see studies come out that show that, people who are on cannabis and pain medication adhere to their pain medication schedules, how it's prescribed more than as they had been previously. So they're not taking an extra pill to help with their pain. They're using cannabis in conjunction with their medicine, and some of these people are getting off of these pain medications entirely. So
Yeah.
instead of like creating unintentional, cannabis deserts, I think that, the state of Ohio should be looking into more dispensaries, into, provide saturating these rural areas with dispensaries so these
Mhm.
people are not suffering, from alcohol, from opioids, whatever, is closest to them to get. They could substitute cannabis as a harm reduction, but we got to make it available to them first
Right.
because, people are going a lot.
How
People are
we
going to
how
go
do
out
we reach
for
our
convenience.
how do we reach our rural folks? Because I'm in the city, right? I'm in
Hmm.
Columbus. We got 14 dispensaries. I could literally walk to my dispensary. So and I got three within 5 to 10 miles. But I under like Ohio is rural, right? You have
Yep,
Appalachia, you have country, like we got farm towns, and a lot of these farm towns are red, right? So and they oftentimes get the information, they lack the information. Um, so I've been like, how do we reach these people so they understand uh that cannabis is an option, and I know some of them know, but it's like politically you got to realize like we should be growing weed outside. Like
yeah.
that's a great crop, to be, if you're a farm town and you growing corn and soybeans, why aren't you growing hemp too?
Exactly, exactly. It's a nutraceutical substance. Like it's something that you can grow and consume right off the vine. So, it's like it's a cash crop, like you said, like
Right.
corn, soybeans, tomatoes, anything.
So I
So
do
why
want to
are
address this. I want to address this. Unfortunately, the lobbyists. So again, if you follow us, we've been talking about this for a long time. I go at the necks of OCAN, Ohio Cannabis Coalition. They are the lobbying arm of the Ohio cannabis industry right now. So they are the ones that are going to specifically Adrian Robbins, David Bowen. They go to the state house and they lobby against the intoxicating hemp, right? And so that's what they were saying with the Delta 9, Delta 8. They were the big players in that, and they're also the big players in trying, because again, they own the dispensaries, they own the cultivators, they own the processors. So they want everybody coming into the dispensaries, right? They want everybody to give that ID. They want everybody to have their name in their system. Again, that's data, right? That's information. But they want everybody coming in, and then they want to overcharge you for, both weed, right? And so then they have an investment, right? You got 10, 50, $20 million into these facilities. They're trying to get all of their money back, right? A lot of these companies got their cash from private equity, right? It's all cash business. The only way you can get in the cannabis industry right now, you had to put up 50 to 100,000 just for the license, right? To even not, you might not even get it, but then you have to have the build out for the cultivation, which is going to cost you 5, 10, $20 million, right? You got employees, you got security, you got product, you got all these things. And then it's highly regulated and nobody knows what they're talking about. So like they're just throwing away money, at something. So again, people have to understand what's going on at the state level. Um,
and it's a
and again,
lottery too.
right. So, and again, the lobbyists, we all can be lobbyists. You can go to the state house and lobby. You can go talk to your state representatives at any time. Anytime you can make it down to the state house. Like you don't even need an ID, I don't think. You literally walk in, you got the state highway patrol, they do your scans, and you can walk through the state house. Sometimes I just go to just look at and marvel at the architecture. I took an architectural tour one time. You know what I mean? Like me and my family, we got a bill passed for Stillbirth Awareness Day last year, signed by the governor. So I met the governor. I don't really rock with him like that, but at the end of the day, he signed the bill for my baby boy, right? So it's, um, politics is a very interesting thing. But if you're not actively engaged and involved, you kind of just are on the back end. So, I encourage people, come to the city, come to Columbus, you know what I mean? Tour the state house, get a meeting with, whoever your state representative is. Take them out to lunch, have them take you to lunch. Like you have to engage with these people because they work for you. If you're paying taxes, they work for you. So you're their boss. But guess what? If you're not bossing them around, they're going to do what they want to do.
100%.
and they're going to work for the business owners too. So if you work for a company, they work for your business guy, your whoever owns your business that you work for. Cannabis tax money should be for the people of Ohio, not for building more jails. Exactly.
I agree.
And I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do with it, right? So again, 64% of the tax revenue is going back to the state, which is going to go back to the general revenue fund, which again, it was 36% for social equity, 36% for community funds. So that's why we're also fighting for this, right? Because that's what issue 2 was. It was getting money back to the communities, directly back to the communities. And so also, if you guys are in Columbus or in the Central Ohio area, we are hosting a Cannabis Social Equity Forum, April 4th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We got our first community sponsor. Shout out to Ancient Roots. This is the first time I'm announcing this, but Ancient Roots is going to be a community sponsor. We got Marijuana Policy Project. They'll be involved. Shout out to Karen O'Keefe. We got Anthony Riley with Ohio Cannabis Expo and the Ohio Cannabis Live. We got Tasha Roundtree out of Dayton. She community activist. We got Sarah Coyer Bryant out of Athens, who is a cannabis activist, advocate, home grower, Lemon G specialist, and also president of Cool Digs. And they do a lot of great stuff down in Athens. Athens also was the largest voter base for cannabis legalization, with I think 77% of the vote voting for issue 2, which was the most out of any other city, I believe, in the state. So Athens knows how to do it. You know, OU, oh yeah. And then who else? We got Ronnie. Ronnie's coming out from Athens too. He's a veteran, and he's also he has his own genetics, and he's a grower, and he does a lot of giveaways to veterans in the community. And they also have the Athens Cannabis Museum. So if you're ever in Athens or you're ever looking for a day trip, the Athens Cannabis Museum is something that's really nice, and they have a lot of valuable information, resources, and great people, man. I mean, it's really a community effort in Athens. And that's why I love my Bobcats, man. Like, that's why I love Athens, because it's really a community when it comes to cannabis. It's very much a hippie town in the hills, Appalachia. But, you know, when it comes to weed, they do it right. So I think a lot of us can take note from them and the things that they're doing, because they do a lot of community events where, you know, they donate cannabis to our veterans. They do home grow lessons and teach people how to grow. So that's, we need more of those things around the state, instead of people just being like, well, I did this and I did that. Well, it's like, well, teach people how to grow, right? Give away some clones. You know what I mean? Like, we should be spreading the wealth. We shouldn't be hoarding it. We shouldn't be gatekeeping it. We shouldn't be like, well, 30 years ago, what are you doing today? It's 2026.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, what I did 30 years ago, like, what are we doing today to benefit our local communities, right? The people that are hurting, right? We should be trying to heal our communities, right? And that's the beautiful thing about cannabis and the community that we strive to be. Let me see. We got some comments, and then I'll let you go.
Oh, you're good, man.
You snowed in. We all snowed in right now, so ain't nobody going nowhere.
Hey, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Also, if you're in the comments, let me know where you guys are tapping in from, what part of the state or what part of the country, what part of the world, what you're smoking on the day. Let us know all the good stuff. Also, if you got some snow, I mean, I'm in Columbus. We got about 11 to 12 inches right now, and it looks like it's still coming down a little bit. Yep. So.
Yep.
I got 13 people around the corner to get my weed from. That's beautiful. That's what it's all about. You know, the more the merrier. And you guys should be having events, potlucks. You know what I mean?
That's actually a great idea.
I just found out one of my older neighbors, he be smoking. So I'm like, because I live in a senior citizen neighborhood. I'm about to smoke all the old people out.
That's gonna be a good friendship.
They didn't expect. Yeah, well, they didn't know what they were doing, right? Like we knew what we was doing, right? We knew that home cultivation, because first of all, if you a good grower, you got rotation. So
Hmm.
once your adult crops, you already got some stuff that's ready to come up, and you on a full rotation. And people was already. I mean, you come out to the suburbs, folks got a whole garage, whole upstairs, downstairs. People been flipping the weed. You know what I mean? And the problem, so one of the things that they did put in 56 was, but before you could have up to 23, more than 23 plants, they would prosecute you, but you could have up to 23 plants and they wouldn't prosecute you. So now with the new language in 56, it stops at 12. So that's another reason why people should be on this, because if you are a home grower and you know how to flip your joint, like now, you know, it's a lot more, there's more penalties and fines that come with that and criminalization. So that's why people need to be engaged. People need to be actively trying to get involved, to volunteer, to sign a petition, because again, this did get signed into law and it goes into law in 90 days. So that was what, a few weeks ago now?
Yep.
It's, you know, before the new year. Was it before the new year or after? When did he
I think it was a little bit before the new year, Gerald.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and yeah, like in the first week of February, I know 40 days are going to have passed at least. So right there, we've already lost like half our time.
all right. Yeah, in the hemp market, right? You know, so you got people that understood that hemp, you know, what's the difference, right, between full THC, Delta 9, Delta 8, Delta 10. All right, people are still able to get stuff. Also, obviously, you know, you got products coming from any and everywhere. You know, we support App Girls Cannabis, but they weren't able to use their hemp that they grow, so they had to outsource their hemp for their cannabis products. You know, even though they're manufacturing THC beverages in Ohio, right? So you have a legal state, but you have to outsource your hemp product from, you know, someplace else, which again, they want to grow in state. They're Bobcats as well. So shout out to App Girls Cannabis. But again, this is why, you know, the community, right? Like if you're a grower and you done made some money, chip in a little bit of money and help out what, you know, Say No to SB56 is doing, because they are, you know, small business owners.
Exactly. And if there is a cannabis beverage company we need to save, it is going to be Apros Cannabis. I mean, their beverages are off the charts with the taste, with the consistency, with, you know, everything that they've got going on there. So
Oh, that's why you out here in Thailand, bro. He out here in Thailand talking about something y'all should be doing. Man, get off my live, bro. I mean, because he be tapping in. Shout out to Robert. Robert,
yeah,
Robert's
shout
been
out to
following us
Robert.
for a minute.
I like Robert.
Forgetting that Robert's in Thailand. That's why he in Thailand, bro. You got
Yeah,
us
it's a mecca out there right now.
Yeah, you know it, man. See, Robert, you left. I'm not from Ohio. I've been in Ohio for 15 years, and I'm like, yeah, Ohio. Why? It's probably messed up because Robert.
It's pretty whack.
Ohio whack, bro. Like people get mad at me for talking about Ohio, but I'm an Ohio taxpayer citizen. I could talk about like what it could be a lot better. Like I love Ohio. Like Ohio's a beautiful state. Like you can go down to the hills of Athens and literally be in the forest, right? Like you could be in the city. Like there's so many beautiful parts about Ohio, but then it's just like some of the people here,
politics, yeah.
The politics here is just. And then it's like it's money here, but then it's just all segregated. You know, like it's easy to go get the money, right? I can go to, you know, Dublin, Upper Arlington, New Albany. It's money everywhere, but then it's hoarded, right? You have all the resources, and then you got these big companies that want to do what they want to do. You know, so people got to speak up, though, man. Let me see, Robert. No, I'm not. I'm taking care of my father on Lake Coast. He back in Ohio now. Well, hopefully,
welcome back, Robert.
Welcome back.
I hope your dad does well.
Yeah, clearly, you know, you was out there in Thailand living it up. You know what I mean? I got to go to Thailand. I have heard some cool things about Thailand.
I want to go so bad. I hear right now though they're trying to do something like reverse the legalization law. I hope they don't do that. But yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
The politics everywhere is, you know,
it's crazy.
Well, you know, anytime you try to free the people, man, you know, because again, what does cannabis do, right? Like cannabis takes people away from, you know, the government structure,
Pharmaceuticals.
the pharmaceuticals, the, you know, the healthcare industry and all those different types of things. So,
Alcohol.
yep, alcohol. So we gotta, you know, uh, it also moves the money, right? Like if you're able to grow your own and then barter or sell some to your friends, you know what I mean? You're able to make a little bit of extra cash on the side, start another business. So a lot of people, you know, it changes the stereotypical infrastructure that we've been known to have, that has allowed a certain demographic of people to control the wealth and the resources. And so obviously this challenges that, right? It challenges institutional bias, right? Like, oh, we've said for, you know, 60 plus years that weed was bad, but now we're realizing that, oh, cannabis helps, you know, it's a neuroprotectant, right? It's helping people, you know, with amnesia or, you know, all these different neurological, you know, issues. So
Alzheimer's. I've just recently read that it helps with Alzheimer's, microdosing, and it also promotes neuroplasticity, much like psilocybin does, but I think in a lesser amount.
right. Yeah. And so again, people have to understand microdosing, right? Like everybody that's consuming cannabis is not taking a blunt, a J to the face. Everybody's not taking 100 milligrams, you know, 200 milligrams. Some people just need enough to knock the edge off. They just need enough to just help them get to sleep. They just need a little edible, you know, to ease their pain. Everybody has different thresholds. And that's the beautiful thing about cannabis, right? And that's why you can't discriminate against it, because me as a 6'1", 215-pound former football player, my cannabis intake is going to be different than Danny's, even though, you know, Danny has his thing, right? So we all have different, you know, versus a senior versus, you know, when I was 24, you know, but that's the beautiful thing about the plant, is that it impacts everybody at a different level, a different cellular level. But it does have a great impact on a lot of us. So we have to keep educating. We have to keep sharing. Now, we'll get into a little personal. What's your favorite way to consume? What's your favorite strain? What you like?
My favorite strain right now, it's Orange Cake by Cookies. Favorite way to consume, it's got to be J's. I do love smoking bongs here and there, but man, I love smoking a J, dude. There's nothing like, you know,
Nice.
getting the smell off that paper. One of my all-time favorite strains, I would say, is Lemon G, the legendary one that you brought up from Athens there, man. I used to look for that one in Athens. I didn't know what it was called, but I used to like look for it in the bag, like by smelling different bags and stuff like that. When I would get it, it'd kind of like be like a unicorn type deal. Like I would be like, I'd try to hold on to it for a little bit longer than most. So
Right.
how about you?
Hold on one second.
Oh, good, man. Take your time.
Daddy duty always calls.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So lately, I've been all over the place because I've just been trying different things. But Northern Lights always hits. I do love Lemon G. What in the program? What did I have? I most recently had this butterfly effect. I had some Notorious. So, but I'm an indica man, heavy indica, limonene, um, anything that's gonna give me kind of that body, you know what I mean, a little bit of head, because I like to focus. I like to get a lot of work done. I still like to exercise. So I'm a like I could take an indica and still go get a full workout in. You know what I mean?
Puts you in the zone.
Yeah. So I'm very much so like zone. Um, yeah. So it's been weird because Ohio, you know, everybody got their own strain, everybody got their own name, the industry changing their own terms, and it's like so much has changed from when I originally started consuming to getting into Ohio Cannabis Report. Um, you know, and then when you getting it on the street, don't nobody know what they selling. You know what I mean? Everybody, you know,
Making up names.
yeah, everybody put their own name on. So, you know, as long as I got the right terpenes, man, the right terpene mix, you know,
And if that smell hits.
yeah. And I just started, right. And I mean, it's, you know, for me, it's all about the smell. All right. So as soon as I Like if it jive well with my smell, I'm all in there. I have gotten a little bit more into concentrates lately. Once I got my Puffco Peak, so I do like that. Obviously, being a father, it's harder to, roll up. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely a cones type person. I've been rolling up paper planes since the OU days, the Wiz Khalifa original, paper planes. I never really been a joint. When I'm with friends or something, we'll do paper or we'll do like joints or whatever. Um, but I got a lot of white friends too, so y'all be doing all types of wild stuff. As soon as you see the torch,
Yeah, the torch. Yeah, when the torch comes out, man, it's real.
you gonna punch my whole chest. I'm like, yeah, this is a little different, but that was part of like really going to school in Athens, man, going to OU and just being around that environment. Like our backup quarterback was probably one of the biggest drug dealers on the team on the college campus. So we always had access to the best bud. And then again, we Meigs County, so you're right there. You got the
Yeah.
finest of buds. So I've always just enjoyed it. What's somebody, let's dead or alive, you want to smoke with?
Oh man, if I Wiz Khalifa, hands down, man, for
Liz?
real. Yeah, his music, like I don't know, it always has put me in like a Zen state when I'm smoking and stuff like that. So if I ever had a chance to smoke a Wiz and pick his brain, man, that would be a dream come true. How about you?
Yep, Wiz is definitely one of them people. I would say right now either Ricky Williams.
Solid.
I like because he's one of my favorite players all time. But like he was one of my people that inspired me to start athletes in cannabis, and just watching his journey because obviously like he was doing it when it wasn't popular, right? And everybody thought he was crazy. Like he left at the height of his career, like NFL career just bounced. You know what I mean? And that was like people don't do that. Like, and then it's like over weed, so that really inspired me and motivated me because a lot of people don't understand. Like you play these sports and it's a job, you know what I mean? Especially once you get to the college level. But there's a lot of pressure, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of just societal things. And it's like, well, if I can't smoke weed and weed's better for me, but my body hurts, I'm getting drugs from the doctors. I have this, my own life outside of sports. That's a lot. And so, it was very courageous of him to do that because a lot of people just push through it. And I think it causes a lot more issues on the back end than we realize because it's a lot of mental health issues that a lot of athletes deal with. Obviously, CTE, the brain injuries, and just the physical, the body wears down a lot. And so, if you don't have something like cannabis that can help you protect that, and people are doing, athletes have been using it anyway, but it was ruining careers. And while it's ruining your career, people also get to characterize you as a bad person or say, oh, you should have just stopped using the weed. And it's like, well, this weed is way more beneficial, to my lifestyle and my body than the alcohol, which again, I can go get a bottle and just chug that and, put myself to sleep, or the pills. So I
But
think
what
that's
risks are you putting yourself into,
right.
you know?
Right. Well, and then the long term, right? So yeah, Ricky
Yep.
Williams, probably like somebody like Tupac. I think Malcolm X smoking with I know he Muslim, but it's like people like that, man. Nipsey Hussle, I think would be super dope to smoke with. Uh
Nipsey would be cool to smoke
yeah.
with, man. Rest in peace to Nipsey, man. Young
Uh,
Dolph too, man. Young Dolph.
what you know
Yeah,
about golf?
I love Young Dolph,
Oh,
dude.
fame, fame. 311
Thanks.
fame. Hey.
Hey.
What else? What else? I got something else for you. Where is your favorite place to consume?
Favorite place to
Or
consume?
a
Oh,
place that you would like to, like if you could smoke anywhere in the world, where would
oh, that's a great question. Shit, man, you got me with that one.
anywhere, bro? It could be outer space. It could be
I
not.
would say if I had to choose, it would be Cinque Terre in Italy. It's like this place it's like a cove by the ocean that has all these different like beautiful colored buildings in there, and it just looks like it's used in a bunch of different paintings, but it's just like a serene setting. So if I had to choose, that's where I choose because it's close to the Adriatic Sea too, and the Adriatic Sea is just clear blue.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that. Willie Nelson was cool. Smoke went.
How about you, Gerald? Where's some place you would smoke with if you could smoke anywhere
And
at
I got
all?
I got a low key. I low key did smoke with Wiz at OU when he came to perform. We snuck on
What's up?
stage. He was performing at the Convo, and me and a couple of my teammates, we didn't have tickets to the event, but since we was athletes, we knew how to get through the back doors. So we went through the back door, and then like they had the stage set up. We climbed up on the stage, like literally we right on the side of the stage. Wiz is right here. You got the crowd right here, and we just sitting there. Me and my roommate, we used to love Wiz, so we already smoking. So
It was
then,
at the Convo?
yeah,
Dude, that had to be the coolest concert, man. I'm grateful it wasn't in the field for you guys. I'm grateful it was at the Convo. Yeah.
oh yeah, it was. What was this? It would have had to be like 2010, 2011.
I
But
think I
then,
think 2013 he came back, right, for Rolling Papers.
yeah. So yeah, it might have been that. But yeah, and then he had people come on stage. So then we jumped off the, the side. We had our joints. We up there on the stage. We were like, ah! I think I got a video somewhere on my hard drive of that moment too.
Oh, dude, you'll have to show me, man. When we're in person or whenever, man. I'd love to
Yeah, I
see that.
gotta
That's
find it.
awesome.
But yeah, that was. I mean, we had some pretty good artists come through. We had Drake, Kendrick, Big Sean, all of them. J. Cole came while we were there. Day 26. My cousin was a part of Day 26, so we got to hang out with them. They were an R&B group.
That's
On
pretty
Bad
cool.
Boy. But yeah, and then a place I like to smoke. Let me think. If I could smoke anywhere. I never even thought of that, honestly.
It's a great question, isn't it?
Because there's so many places like I want to go to. Ooh, I want to smoke at the pyramids. Pyramids, yeah, I think that'd be dope. Or I might go to the have you heard about the earthworks in Newark?
Ooh, no, I haven't.
So there's Indian mounds in Newark. And they didn't just discover it, but there was this golf course on top of this place called the Octagon, and it's thousands of years old, and these are by the Native Americans. And this one place called the Octagon, it basically I think lines up with the moon, and so they just opened it up, and it's like one of the biggest earthworks in the country. But these things are thousands of years old. You know what I mean? Like,
When did they discover that?
Oh, well, they've always known, right? Like, I mean,
Okay.
Ohio is a perpetual, like they perpetually colonizing Ohio, right? Like it's like the Native Americans were here, and so you look at a place like, yeah, so like, my wife's family, like they're, indigenous, like all the Appalachian region, like they were Appalachian folks, those were Native Americans living in those hills, right? And a reason like a lot of the Native Americans followed the water, right? Like they followed nature. So a lot of them lived along the water. So you look at, obviously the Great Lakes, all that fresh water coming down. You got the, Mississippi and all that stuff. So the natives were here in Ohio, man, big. And that's why everything is named after indigenous people, right? You got, the Scioto, Muskingum County. You got all of these native names. And so they don't really promote that history, obviously, but it's something that we should be promoting and uplifting because, that's the reality of Ohio, right? And that's part of why also cannabis taps into, agriculture. It taps into native history, right? The natives were using weed for everything, and herbs and spices, right? So that's why it's important that we all understand that this is our civil rights, right, being trampled on. Peter Lewis of Progressive Insurance, cool to smoke hash with enemies. Joints are sociable. And then another reason for Thailand. Yep. All right, man. Well, I'll let you get out of here. My daughter's probably going to be rushing me to go play something, but I appreciate you for hopping on, brother.
I appreciate the talk, Gerald. Thank you so much
for
for
find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram, Dan the Cannaman. I'm gonna be starting up a YouTube channel here of the same name called Dan the Cannaman for my grows and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that on YouTube. But those are my main my main platforms. So yeah, if you guys want to follow me there. And I'm grateful for everybody who tuned in today. Gerald, I want to ask you one more question before you do go.
Yep.
In Newark, Ohio, is that the same place where the serpent mounds are that you were talking about, or is that like a different
Yeah, I
place?
think, yep, that's the same stuff.
Okay, definitely gonna have to check that out. So yeah, if you
Mhm.
guys are like in Ohio, man, definitely go to Newark, not New York, Newark, like Gerald said, and check out the serpent mounds. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Alrighty, yep. And make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let us know, what you want us to cover. Again, this is for entertainment, educational purposes only. We are not lawyers. We are not politicians. We are just concerned citizens having a good time, having a good conversation. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you, Dan. I'll holler at you
Appreciate
later.
you.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, you later, man.
Peace.
Be safe out there. Stay warm.
Yes, sir. Later.
Later, man.
My guy, Dan the Cannaman. Shout out to Dan. And I have posted Dan's testimony that he did at the State House a few months back. Very impactful. Great dude, man. Me and Dan have talked for quite a while. Great heart. So make sure you guys support him. He's trying to do great work with Say No to SB56. So you guys can support him on that. I'll bring that up just so you guys can see what it is. Make sure you guys go check out some of our previous episodes as well. We've been discussing this stuff for a long time. We've been talking about SB56. We started with House Bill 160. So there are a lot of things that we have covered over the last few years. And then I'm just going to show you guys this. So this is what the website looks like. No on SB56, and it has all the information. You can commit to sign. You can volunteer, register to vote, and then check your registration. And then they're going to be updating you with all the information on, where you can sign that petition. So again, they're still waiting for the Attorney General to get back to them on if he's accepted the language. And so this is the second time. So hopefully he accepts the language. Once he accepts the language, like Danny said, got to get 200,000 to 400,000 signatures in 44 of the 88 counties in the state of Ohio. So we'll need a lot of volunteers. They'll have different locations, bars, restaurants, I'm sure, and small businesses. So again, people will need to have those petitions to get those signed. Also, to sign the petition for them to be valid, you have to be a registered voter, right? So make sure you're registered. And again, get involved. If you can't do it, share. You guys can share this post. You can share our videos. You can share our information on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Like I said, we're on all these different platforms. So just type in Ohio Cannabis Report in Google and something will come up. If you can direct message us, you can donate to what we got going on. Danny and SB Say No to SB56. They're accepting donations. Ohio Cannabis Report will accept donations. Just reach out to us and help us continue to do the work. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.